I have to say we're still waiting for the real owner of this space, which is missing now. We heard he's coming with a cab, but because of the city is very crowded these days, it will take a bit longer. So I think we can start talking on how this concept came out. There's a lot of you in this space.
Yes. First of all, thank you to everybody, because it's such a wonderful people here. Thank you. I have to tell you, I'm not a Milanese. I'm not coming from Milan, but I have a very deep love for this city. And I have to say that I'm even happy that Andrea Margaritelli is not here, because that means that the city is so lively, so crowded, so full of events that is even difficult to transfer from one side to the other of the city. Milan is a beautiful city, and probably you don't know, but Milan is a city that has been born on water. And this street that you see back here, where there's so much traffic passing on, in reality is a channel, is a water channel. And the water now is on pipes, 3-4 meters below this floor. And honestly, there's even somebody that is talking now in Milan to dream if it is possible to bring the water back in the city, and to take away all the cars, and to have again the water channel with the boat, because Milan was connected to Venice through water, and the main infrastructure, the main way, the better way to send products and materials from Milan to Venice was through the water. And this channel was going to the River Po, and from the River Po to all the cities around Italy. This is not easy. It's wet, so he was not behind the wall here, hidden somewhere, but it's really coming from outside. It's wet. So I just talking you about water, because I wanted to talk you about nature, about what is really authentic in a natural way, and what we feel that is close to ourselves. Honestly, I believe that we are living in a very special time. Honestly, I believe that this is a time that never existed before today. It's such a time of renaissance, such a time of unbelievable invention and potentiality for creating a better future that never happened in the past, never in Greek time or in Roman Empire or in a Renaissance, Italian Renaissance in Rome, Florence, Venice, never in the Illuministic time. Never happened such a moment in which so much invention, so many technological potentiality, and so wonderful, really wonderful, surprising opportunity we have today, and we can enjoy today. And this is coming because of technology, because obviously technology is changing so much our way of doing our lifestyle, our dream for the future. That is really impressive. We are never conscious about what's happening, and most of the time we are more scared they're not happy about everything that is coming on. And I really believe that this new technological potentiality is creating more and more a separation between what is human and what is mechanical, what is coming from automatization, from technology, from digitalization. We are more and more talking about the difference between human intelligence and artificial intelligence. And this, you can think is not a matter of design of architecture, but instead I really believe that it is matter of design and architecture. Because our role as an architect and as designer is to bring to the human environment, to the human everyday life, everything that is valuable and is touching our sensibility and creating and enhancing our emotions.
I just take 1 second for introducing the real owner, the real guest of this space, because the real design could just happen between the joining of two elements, two components. This space used to be a restaurant in the beginning of the 20th century, and because this space used to close very late in the night, what at that time were the first publicity artists and graphics, but also the printing machine producers used to meet here to discuss what this kind of new profession could be in the future. So here we have the commitment and the designer. So the same two components are once more joining here to become the design, the magic as ever happened in the past. And I would love that Andrea could introduce how this magic could work.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much to Michele De Lucchi. Thank you very much to Margaret for coming. I'm only a part of a family, and Michele De Lucchi is a part of our family. But I don't like really to speak English in public, and I will continue in Italy. Vi parlerò in italiano perché per me è molto più facile e non era previsto il mio intervento, ma c'è una parte del pubblico italiano e sono sicuro che le mie poche parole arriveranno anche a chi non conosce l'italiano. È una gioia essere qui con voi, aver soprattutto la possibilità di presentare questo spazio che nasce esattamente in questo luogo, il 13 dicembre, quando Michele De Lucchi ci cambia completamente il punto di vista. Avevamo immaginato uno spazio per esporre i nostri prodotti e ci ha ribaltato completamente il punto di vista e ci ha invitato a considerare che i prodotti vengono molto dopo le persone, e in effetti ci ha raccontato una cosa che abbiamo sempre creduto, che la cosa più interessante da presentare sono proprio i valori, e per la nostra famiglia, per la nostra azienda, per il brand Listone Giordano, i valori sono la componente più importante, quella che ci piace di più raccontare, e l'architettura di Michele De Lucchi ci ha aiutato in maniera straordinaria a farla parlare da sola, e quindi non posso che esprimere un ringraziamento sentito veramente di cuore a nome di tutta la mia famiglia, di papà, di Luca, di Luisa, Fernando, di tutta la nostra famiglia allargata a tutti i collaboratori, a chi ha reso possibile questo, a chiunque ha dato un contributo a realizzarlo. Un abbraccio ad Alberto Bianchi, che le cose si fanno con la regia del maestro, si fanno con il grande tempo dedicato da parte di tutto lo studio, Angelo Michele, tutto lo studio De Lucchi, che ci ha supportato non come un cliente ma veramente come dei veri amici, ci siamo sentiti abbracciati e oggi abbracciamo lo studio De Lucchi, voi tutti che con noi partecipate a questo momento di gioia. Thank you.
Grazie. Thank you. Yes, me too. Obviously, I'm very happy, and I think I took this opportunity to help Listone Giordano to set up this space, just to introduce a topic that is very much deep in my mind today, and is very much part of my profession, my professional everyday life as an architect. I understood that the simple function of the spaces, of buildings, of interiors is no longer enough. I want to say, when they asked me to design offices, or to design museums, or to design shopping center, or what else, the topic is not to just to lay out rows of desks one after the other, and to make people working in front of the computer, or working in long rows of people. Or when they ask me to design a museum, the project is no longer to hang paintings on the wall, or to put a statue on the top of pedestals. The real problem today is how to create space where people is happy to go and to stay. How to design offices where people is happy to go to the offices and happy to spend so large part of their life in such a space. Or when they ask me to design museums, I know that the problem is not just to exhibit artworks, but the problem is to invite people in this building and to make them happy to spend one day there, to have yes, obviously, a tour around the exhibition, but as well to spend sometimes in the cafeteria, or looking in the bookshop to check what is new on the books, or to have lunch, or to have dinner, or to sit and to relax in the beautiful atmosphere of museums and in the offices as well. It is more important to make people happy to work than not to lay out offices. It's much more important, even for companies, to create an environment that is creative and supporting everybody's attitude and personal character and personality. But it is much more important to make space easy to socialize. And this is a big problem. So when they asked me to design a showroom, I thought it's not important just to display products, because everybody is displaying products everywhere. What is important is that everybody will be happy to come in this space and will find something that is more than product itself. To find something that makes this product meaningful and more valuable compared to all other stuff around the world. This is the problem of today. This is the real meaning of designing, building spaces. That means to create something more than not the obvious functionality. It is obvious that in the office you go to work, in the museum you go to see exhibition, but it's not enough to create a successful building, a successful office, a successful museum. And I dedicated a lot of time, not time stolen to my clients, to work inside my team with my group of architects and collaborators to deal about this problem and to deal about this question that we have, how to create seduction, some space seducing and attractive over the function itself. I changed the name of my studio. My studio is no longer AMDL Architetto Michele De Lucchi, but is AMDL Architetto Michele De Lucchi Circle, because it is more a circle of contributors than not a combination of technicians. And just to tell you what you have hanging on the ceiling here, this is part of the projects that we are doing now. This one and this one are some of the model of this building that we intended to create, just to bring people together and to make our relation with technology successful and really bringing benefits to human beings.
Michele, I'd like just to ask you one thing, because you have a long history behind you. And we lived for quite a few years knowing that design is a problem-solving tool for solving some problems, I don't know. But it seems that today, this is kind of my opinion, but I felt through your words now that you will probably agree with this, that design is not just solving problems, but it's giving new poetry to the world. So giving proposal to walk to, in a way, challenging to get through, not just having new object.
Yes, definitely. I think that, paradigms are changed. Today, knowledge is free and available for everybody. Knowledge itself. But we don't know how to use knowledge. We don't know how to get the best benefit from knowledge. So our problem is not to achieve knowledge, but how to use knowledge. And that's the reason why we need a new kind of environment, this kind of environments where we can talk, we can meet, we can look to each other on each other's eyes. And that is also why I'm so curious and surprised to see what young people does. Millennials or Generation Z. How much important they are, because they are totally different from what I am, and also I believe how you are, because the new generation of people get born with a totally different base, with a totally different way of doing and way of thinking, and instruments and tools. I want to say, when I was born, in my parents' home, as well as they were not free. The fridge was not there because we were buying the ice cubes somewhere in the street, and there were no freeze, no refrigerator. The television came when in 1962-63 in Italy. The black computers. Steve Jobs. We often forget that Steve Jobs did his first personal computer, the first Mac, in 1981 in his garage. 1981 is never 30 years. It's never 40 years that he did the first personal computers. And the first Mac was commercialized in 1984. So this is, you understand how much has been changed since that time to today. And everything is changing even now, even in front of our eyes, and we don't see what's changing. We are neither conscious about the huge changements that are going on. And I am, for this reason, I'm so curious about how young generations behave. I heard yesterday, I heard something very astonishing, beautiful, that a group of young students in Milan, they did an application, and I tell you, it's wonderful, it's really wonderful. They did an application to help people how to survive in Milano without spending money. You understand how it's called Milano a scrocco. I don't know how to translate it in English, but it means how to survive just taking all the possible free opportunity and to live in Milan, to enjoy all the opportunities in Milano without spending money. And in my mentality, or with mentality of my father, the first thing you think is all these people are really nasty people. Are people that are not able to work. They have to go to work to get money, to earn money, and after they can start to talk. This is a totally wrong mentality, because these people that are able to think that you can produce an application where everybody can live in the city, they are totally changing the basic paradigm. And this, I tell you, is the real most successful way to get success. Because when people is turning around and people is walking and selecting what to use and what to live, even without spending money, that means that they are going to touch what is really meaningful, what they really want, and they have such a huge choice in front of them, that we are never able to any longer to choose what is meaningful and what is unmeaningful. So I really very, very optimistic about the new generations. I'm very curious to see how they behave and which kind of transformation they are bringing to our society.
I don't know if we have more time. I think everybody of us would love to listen to Michele talking more and more. We would love to get asleep listening to him, like a storyteller. But I think he won't have so much time. Do you have time for a very last question?
Yes, but I want to tell you, I would like very much to have a little time to show you a movie that unfortunately is in Italian, about this project.
Very good.
Yes, the Earth stations. This one is an Earth station. This showroom is no longer just a simple showroom, but is an Earth station. What does it mean, Earth station? Earth station is just a station. It's not a space station. It's not a station where to live for Mars or Venus or the Moon. Is an Earth station. That means it's a station where to go to live for the planet Earth. And I created the Earth stations because it doesn't exist any typology of building like the Earth stations, and I cannot express this concept of creating new social space for where to live. I'm sorry, this is in Italian, so I wanted to just to tell you a few words before you see the movie. their stations are very much based on bringing people together and to create opportunity in a way that everybody can talk and can discuss how to organize, for one side, to get the maximum of advantages from what we have, and the second, to avoid all the possible mistakes that we can do, and to face the huge problems that we have. Because I can be very optimistic, and I pretend to be optimistic, and I want all of you to be optimistic about the future, but I have also to tell you that we are facing huge problems. And you know what I'm speaking about. The climate change, but not only the climate change, the sustainability, but not only the sustainability, also the unbalanced richness that is on the world, and demographic questions, demography. You know that today in the world we are more people alive than not all the people that has been dead in the past. All the people that were walking on the planet in the past are less than not the people that we are today on here. So I created this building. I asked the regia to wait a little bit.
Wait a second.
I created these air stations that are especially done to help ourselves to understand the value of what we are able to do with our hands. What we are really producing as human beings, and what is really touching our emotions. And I believe that is the time to create monuments, temples to the hand, and to the capability of producing just with the most simple tools that we have, our hands. But to create this monument to that, I realized that craftsmanship is very different around the world, because each climate has a different craft. And so I designed 5 air stations, so-called many hands. 5 air stations to be built by hands. And each station is dedicated to a different climate. There is one building dedicated to the desert climate, one to the tropical climate, one to the continental climate, one to the temperate climate, and one to the polar climate. Each building is done with the techniques, the regional techniques, and each building is dedicated to handmade products. Obviously, the handicraft, but the most important handicraft that we use, and we never realize how much important it is, or we understand how much important it is, but we always forget the cultural value. That is food. Food is the most excellent, I guess, the most excellent products of our hands, and is so different from region to region, and is so much a cultural base and a cultural communication that this building that I created, and these are models, are just done to present local products and local food.
Thank you, Michele.
The relation between Michele De Lucchi and the woods.
Yes, you're right. I forgot to say how much I love wood, and how much I believe that wood is a very a wonderful material for the future too. Many times people ask me, wood, to have wood we have to cut trees, and if we cut trees we are just creating poverty in the world, and there will be not a sustainable materials. But this is totally wrong. Wood is the most suitable and most appropriate material for the future, because trees and forest must be continuously managed, and when we cut a tree and we can replant the tree, we are just creating earthiness in the wood, in the forest, and I have to say that honestly today wood is the best material, the most under-controlled material in the world. There are only few places in the world where forests are not controlled. But just to tell you how much I love wood, I have to say that a few years ago I wrote a book about how much I love trees. And it is a very small book. I don't know if I have one here. Oh. I un libretto. It is a book. The title in Italian, unfortunately, is only in Italian. I hope to translate, but I have to find out how to translate the title, because the title in Italian has a very profound meaning. In English, I am not being able to find out the correct translation yet. The title is Loro che sono loro. How to translate? Loro is obviously trees that are so important and so valuable as the gold is. Loro che sono loro, and all the book is written about trees, but I never wrote the word tree inside. And it is a kind of a feeling, is a kind of a book in which you have to find out who is the real protagonist, because the protagonist is never been mentioned. But when you read it, you understand immediately that we are speaking about trees. And yes, just to tell you how much I love trees and how much I believe that trees, and taking care of trees, taking care of forests, taking care of all the beautiful nature that we have in the world, are the best way to enjoy this planet. Thank you.
I just have to tell that you at the beginning of this speech told that you would love to bring back the water in this part of the city, but I think that you already bring back the nature here. Thank you.
Thank you everybody.